this computer. Hi, I'm here with founder of Edible Bugs, Skye, and welcome to Climate Salad, our Australia's largest climate tech community. Before we get started, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. For me, that's the Gubbi Gubbi people, and I respect their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, Skye, can you tell us a little more about your journey as an entrepreneur and also about Edible Bugs and your latest brand, Circle Harvest?
So we actually started farming insects for human consumption in 2007, which was about 14 years ago now. So quite a long time, and it has been a really, really long journey for us, but it's given us kind of time to be able to make sure that our farming technologies are right, develop some amazing food products, and get our branding right as well for products that are going onto retail shelves. So this year, just before we started lockdown, we actually launched our brand new brand called Circle Harvest into retail stores around Australia, and we've had an amazing response.
Now tell me, 2007 starting Edible Bugs, now we know as the climate crisis looms that we have to look for alternative sources of protein that have, low carbon emission protein, climate friendly protein. Why bugs back in 2007? What inspired you to get into farming insects?
So ever since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated by creepy crawly things. So when I went to university, I did a degree in entomology, but there wasn't really a lot of jobs in entomology in Australia at the time. So I did a degree in food science just as a backup so that I would have a job. And I started an education company in 2006, teaching kids about the importance of insects in our environment and all about different kinds of science things. And we were doing kind of a pet and animal expo. And we just come back from Thailand where I tried edible insects and I was really fascinated by them. I wanted people to come over to our stand. So I made 1,000 of these little bug lollipops that had real bugs in the middle. And we sold out within a couple of hours, which was amazing. But the weeks after, I was getting calls from lolly shops and marketing companies and the newspaper who had heard about these lollipops and wanted to stock them. Being a food scientist, there was no nutritional information that I could put on the packet about the crickets and the mealworms. So I sent away some for nutritional testing. And when I got the results back, I was just completely shocked that no one was eating them as a source of food. They were just so nutrient dense. They had the protein, they had all these micronutrients, the omega-3, the B12, all the amino acids. And I kind of felt like I had the perfect combination of skills to convince people that this was going to be a good idea. So as you can imagine, it has been a long journey to convince people.
But wow, what a fantastic recipe for success there, that you have the combination of like food sciences, entomology, but then also like just to attract people. Like there's obviously market demand for, something a little bit quirky and bizarre, but then also the health benefits. What have you discovered that has been the big market levers? Is it the health, the climate part, or the quirkiness of eating bugs?
I really think that consumers are really now more educated about where their food comes from. They want nutrient dense, they want healthy, local food and delicious food to feed their families, and products that contain insect protein can be all of those things. So especially with the rise of social media, everybody has all this information at their fingertips and it comes up whether they want it to come up or not. So they're learning about it kind of on a subconscious level. So when we first started doing this, if we were doing an event and I said to someone, we're doing edible insects, there was then this 10-minute conversation around what it was and why we needed to do it. And now when we're at an event, people come and say, oh, you're these bug people, you do edible insects. And they tell us what they know about it, which is amazing because it's kind of like a complete 360 now.
I feel like I most definitely had your bug ice cream at a TEDx event in Sydney a while ago.
Yeah,
you guys would have definitely been there. And I was like, wow, this is delicious. And I felt so novel and definitely took photos for social media while eating them.
Well, as you should.
As you should, absolutely. And it is funny, like the evolution of even just the conversations around insects from, you see a bee like, oh no, not a bee. And now it's like, oh, we love bees. Like, we're planning out our garden to be bee and bird attracting, which is funny. You wouldn't have thought about that a while ago.
Yeah.
What has been the most surprising thing for you on this 14-year journey?
Really now that, yeah, really that education has played such an important role in what we do. We actually have a school program where we go to schools and teach kids all about the future of food. And we've been running that program since the very beginning. So we've seen about 1.3 million students come through that program. And some of those people are actually adults now, which makes me feel really old. But when we're at events, or I was in the supermarket the other day and people come up to me and say, oh, you know, when I was in year 5 or I was in year 6, you taught me about edible insects and now I include them as part of my diet. So as the world is changing, these kids that are now adults have this really deep understanding of our food system, better than their parents and their grandparents. So when we're looking at these new kinds of proteins and, you know, more sustainable food systems, they're already on top of it.
That is so amazing and gives me hope for the future. I mean, it's the next gen that are so much more informed and educated and so much better at, you know, taking action. What excites you most in this climate tech space?
Really that there's so much amazing and varied work being done. There's not just one solution for this. This is multiple solutions that it's going to need. And, you know, from waste management to renewable energies to our food system, all of those things need to be embraced. And you can see consumers and larger companies as well starting to embrace these kinds of things, which is really amazing.
Now, where can we find these edible bugs and Circle Harvest products?
So you can go online to our website, which is just circleharvest.com.au. We actually have a stockist page there as well, so you can have a look and see which store that you might already shop at that's serving Circle Harvest products.
Wonderful. And I'm really looking forward to eating some of your edible bugs as well at our Climate Tech Showcase and Awards event on the 9th.
Yes, and I'm kicking myself that I can't be there, but I will be there in spirit, and I expect lots of photos of the bug chips to be coming through.
I cannot wait to try some. Thank you so much, Skye, and thanks so much for becoming part of our Climate Salad community.
Thank you for having me.